Good evening. Welcome to the December 4th, 2024 Abington Finance Committee meeting. We are about to begin our preparation for the 2025 FY 26 budget. Our agenda tonight, we will be meeting with several of our town departments. We have our assessor's office, the veterans department, the golf course, and the inspectional services. Then we'll get an update from the town manager who will tell us that not enough people showed up for our special town meetings. So we have to continue that to the spring town meeting. Maybe some other stuff, maybe a status of where things are at overall. We'll get liaison reports, correspondence, which I actually checked. Review and minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to review, and then a discussion of our next meeting date. Without further ado, we would like to invite our deputy assessor up, Jolanta Griffith. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
For those who don't know me, I'm Yolanta. I'm your assessor. And I will start with our mission. Our mission is to appraise all real and personal property to determine market values using sales analysis, market trends, and studies of the income and expense statements. We establish annual tax levy and assist residents applying for relief through the exemption process. Our achievements are, we got the real and personal property values certified for fiscal year 25. The tax rate is in a timely manner. Me and Andrew just submitted the recap to the Department of Revenue yesterday. We resolved all the abatements in fiscal year 25 and all the appellate tax cases. Our goals are to continue providing service to residents and businesses, to continue with the process of digitalizing our records, which we are doing, educating the public on understanding the aspects of our office, and maintaining regular communication with Scott. The highlights. We did save $13,100 because we employed Michelle Taft, my clerk in my office, and now she's doing all the building permits for the town. Where before we had to use Vision Government Solutions to do our permits. So we are saving money, but we do need additional $21,300 for fiscal year 26 because it's a revaluation year. Every 5 years, every town has to do a reval. In between, we do interim year adjustments where it takes less than doing a full reval. So we do need more money on that. And here are the salaries. Just basic 2% for me. Jody and Michelle go by steps. Here's the chart. We have me as the deputy assessor, then we have assistant assessor and the clerk. And here's my budget. So we have the salaries, sick leave incentive, health insurance incentive. Michelle doesn't take insurance, so she gets a discount. And the other two are Andrew puts those in my budget because, Andrew,
Right, so when we give people the benefits of these senior or veteran work-off benefits, those are subject to federal taxes. So the money needs to come from somewhere, so we'll just stick it in here since the assessor's office is the one handling the abatement process.
I was going to say, in recent years, we've gone over the process of adding those in.
Yes.
So it's good to see where they line up in the budget.
yeah. So then if you look at my expenses, they pretty basic. It's pretty much the same as last year, except as you see the vision increase for the reval of 21,300. Everything else is just basic education, training, postage when we mail out all the income and expense statements, supplies, travel, dues and fees, office supplies.
The Reval, that's an outside firm? that
Correct.
helps you?
It's called Vision Government Solutions, and we have a contract with them. And yes, they do a revaluation.
Anyone have questions? It's all pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward budget, yeah, thank you.
Daniel, anything?
The cost of the reval, does that fall under the other professional and technical line?
Correct, yeah. We use Vision for real estate. We use real estate research consultants for personal property. So there is two in there. It's not just Vision, it's personal property and real estate.
So I think my question on that line is, it looks like it's up significantly, but the 2025 budget was down significantly. Do you remember why?
Not a reval year?
Because
Yeah, it's another year.
it was
Oh.
down because we started having Michelle doing our building permits.
Okay.
So,
So I was looking at the previous years were more,
yes, so,
So he's talking about the other professional and
Yeah.
technical services,
Yeah.
but it's because it's a reval year.
correct.
Is that,
how often do we do? the
Every
reval?
5 years.
Every 5 years, okay.
so it-
Any other questions, anyone? Yolanda, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, moving along, we have our veterans agent up next.
Wonderful, good evening. I'll start off with the mission statement. Get started with that.
Yep.
The primary mission and responsibility of the Office of Veteran Services to advise and assist veterans and dependents residing within the town of Abington. We provide outreach to promote state and federal benefits for which they may be eligible. Under Chapter 115 of the Massachusetts General Law, we provide financial assistance to low-income veterans and their dependents. Area of assistance include, but are not limited to, a whole lot of things. Awards, annuities, food, anything they need, we are there to support them. Achievements for this year. I have a lengthy list. I My understanding is you'd like to hear the positive things that we're doing and the achievements and things.
Yes.
So I'll go for it. I'll try to skim through these as quickly as possible. VA claims, I've processed 91 so far, 2024. Abington veterans and widows in veterans have received $545,452.82 in compensation in 2024 this year through veteran VA claims, veteran pensions, DIC, and death pensions. Chapter 115 clients, we are up to 15 now, which we haven't been for a few years, and more are applying. Thanks to Lisa McGovern, our Veteran Benefits Administrator. In 2023, in June, we established the Veterans Advisory Council. They focus on a variety of projects that I bring to them, to the table, and they're all veterans, they all have unique background experience, and they support our office quite a bit. They've helped implement the SAVES Fund, where we gave away $50,000 to veterans through grants, thanks to the ARPA funding. Currently working on the Veterans Banner Committee, so we can bring the Hometown Hero banners into Abington. The Veteran Tax Work-Off Program, we have 5 volunteers that support the office and projects. They come in on a weekly basis. We have a couple others that work outside of the office on certain projects and follow up with us. They've also supported a deceased Purple Heart recipients, where they've researched our recipients at the Dyer Memorial Library. Originally we knew we had 6 that we are aware of in Abington. Thanks to the volunteers, we now have 36 that we are aware of, and we are creating Purple Heart's street sign toppers that'll go on the street they either lived at or joined the military from. And we also ordered all 36 of their records from the National Archives, and we're creating a web page to display proudly all of what they've done, their service to our country, and where the signs will be located throughout the town. Killed in Action, Christy Coburn has spent years, long before I got here, researching our KIA, and she has agreed to put it on our website, so we've been working with the Dyer and volunteers to slowly get that on our website as well. So that information will be there for the public. Abington Veterans Muster TV also started in March of 2024, thanks to Travis Partington and his selfless devotion to our veterans. We started a monthly 30-minute TV show that serves as a tool for benefits, showcasing initiatives, highlighting veterans, businesses that support veterans, and putting information out from our office that's played every Monday. Of course, on social media. The outreach has been a lot better thanks to our Council on Aging. We get so many referrals from them with the staff. We try to attend events over there whenever we can. I can't remember the last time we've gone over there and not reached somebody who we were able to help with benefits, so it's an amazing relationship. Death records, we had volunteers that went through 30 years back in our death records and scanned and made copies of them. Had another volunteer who used to work at the VA, Mr. Bob Pratt. Every Friday he comes in from 8:30 to 12:30. He spent countless hours going through all those death records, looking for presumptive conditions that may have been caused from war, like Agent Orange. We found 4 widows who are not receiving the support they needed, which they get for the rest of their lives as long as they aren't married. And a couple of them now don't have to pay property taxes the rest of their lives because they lost their husband to Agent Orange. Veterans graves. In September of this year, utilizing the Veteran Tax Work-Off Program, Eileen Walls began cleaning our veterans graves, and she's starting with our Revolutionary War heroes. She's taking before and after pictures of what she's doing, and then she goes to the Dyer and she researches them and gives us a few paragraphs on their life, that they were a shoemaker, that they got here in the 1800s and lived in. It's incredible what she's doing. So we're also working to get that displayed on our website so we can remember our Revolutionary War heroes as well. Community involvement and support has been incredible this year. We've been able to do a lot for our veterans and their family members, and we haven't had to come out of the town's pocket, thanks to so much support from the community. Colvin Landscape and Construction cleans the Veterans Lot for Memorial Day and Veterans Day at no cost. He gives us a free spring and fall cleanup for a veteran and widow every year that we select. Thanks to our veterans organizations. Mortland Door Company provided a free garage door opener and installation and took care of a Korean War veteran. The monthly Veterans Breakfast is still continuing. I think we're going on 2 or 3 years. I've lost track, and now we have surrounding BSOs from Weymouth and Rockland and East Bridgewater that come in, and we rotate to keep that going because it's pretty incredible what Martin's is doing. They're feeding anywhere from 90 plus every first Wednesday of every month and supporting veterans. Bud's Goods and Provisions now hosts a monthly free veterans coffee hour social. Cape Cod Lumber makes shadow boxes for deceased spouses of veterans. South Shore Veterans Assistance has come in just with a whirlwind of things. For our veterans celebration, they took care of all the meal. They served all of our veterans, all 70 of them. They donated a 6-foot American flag that we're going to place in our office. They had students there. Let's see, I'm getting off track here. Cake Connections has donated over 100 cupcakes and 4 separate cakes for different veteran events in Abington. She won't take our money. Abington Schools has done lots of things this year through our honor students, Project 351, student writings and readings, presentations, choir, and band performances, all for our veterans. The Veterans Christmas Tree, which is downstairs right now, thanks to the Daughters of the American Revolution. Last year, they provided 170 gifts for veterans. This year, there's a lot more tags. We also partnered with Colony Health and Rehabilitation. We're now helping all of their veterans. I think there's 16 or 7. It keeps growing how many veterans that are going to be there for Christmas. And Pick a Party, Bubble Barge. The husband-wife team, Stacy and Ken, they dress up like Santa and Mrs. Claus. They did this last year, and they bring that huge bubble barge out, and they went to a widow's house, and they were delivering meals, and they're going to do the same thing on Christmas Eve at Colony Health Rehabilitation. And then Mal's Kitchen is providing 100 free meals for Christmas to veterans and widows in Abington. Additionally, they're doing 50 meals for Meals on Wheels, thanks to an anonymous, generous donation that has a heart for veterans. Okay, ceremonies, Memorial Day, 71st Tri-Town, Day Parade, Vietnam Remembrance, Purple Heart, Memorial Field Ceremony, and Pearl Harbor. All right, that's all for that category. Any questions on that before I keep rambling on? Wonderful.
It's a lot
Goals?
of really good stuff.
What's that?
It's a lot of really good
Yes.
stuff.
Thank you. It is. We just have such an incredibly supportive amount of volunteers that come in, and the advisory council. It's incredible the amount of man hours that people are putting in to support these projects and the community that's come together. We had 5 banks that donated to the Veterans Celebration as well. The less money we had to spend out of our budget. So we really are trying to use the community and their support so we can maximize how we can support our veterans without asking for more. Goals for the future. My number 1 goal is to pursue hiring a part-time assistant or have full-time coverage someday, but another part-time assistant makes sense. We really need people to be there when I'm with clients and doing VA claims, when I'm going to homes. I was out in the woods looking for a homeless veteran the other day. I'm behind closed doors working with personal situations with veterans a lot. So someday it would be really beneficial, instead of me writing nice notes on the door, to have another part-time assistant for Lisa to be able to high-five. I didn't put it in my budget, even though it's kind of been planned many years ago, for 2025. I look down the hall from my office and I think about Wayne Norling and how much more he needs somebody more than I do, so I decided not to put it in my budget for that reason. National Veterans Legal Service Program. It's an online course for VA claims. I'm currently working on. Increased local advertisement. More with Abington Cam, explore new ideas for outreach. Attending more Abington Celebrates events. Follow up on recent disability claims, which I just have a hard time finding time for with the workload. Working with the American Legion, VFW, and Post 2 for our veteran celebration ceremonies and the possible transition and discussion of a parade / moving to a veteran center, veteran celebration, where we can reach younger veterans, make it more family friendly. I think the annual veteran celebration is fantastic. We reach so many people, but I've had a lot of people reach out and say, hey, I can't just take off at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday and join this. So we're trying to find ways to continue to reach more and improve our outreach. Let's see. I want to look more into the Veterans Graves Officer needs with a possibility of Hillside Cemetery at the next town meeting. We're already working on tracking all of our veterans' graves at Mount Vernon Cemetery, but it's a time stake. It's a large time commitment. Continue to honor our veterans by working on the Killed in Action, Purple Heart, Revolutionary War Heroes. Hometown Heroes banners, of course. We have a 3-year veteran banner committee that we're hoping for the first year to figure out, the best price to do this and how to implement it and plan a ceremony. But we plan on having those up for 2 years. That would be at no cost to the town. Andrew set up a separate account, so people would pay a certain amount to have the veterans banners displayed. And then continue working through the Abington Veterans Muster. The popularity is becoming more and more as I'm hearing more questions and comments about it. And that is all. Any questions?
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That was a lot. Sorry.
No, don't be
No,
sorry. Go ahead.
Definitely don't be sorry. It's a lot more to hear than we used to get from the Veterans Department, and that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Review the budget was pretty level funded. Cost of things goes up for uniform and other clothing. Travel, we had to increase yet again because of the cost of hotels. We do an annual conference down at the Cape. It's vital that Lisa McGovern comes. It's a lot of knowledge. It's a few days. It's a lot of money, but it's every VSO in the state comes together. We have another conference, thankfully. The Executive Office of Veteran Services pays for that. Dues and fees, separating those. Pending any questions?
Do we have my understanding is a lot of the expenses that you have, maybe I get this wrong, are reimbursed by the state? Are those expenses here and then the reimbursement is somewhere else? Or are they not in here?
It should be the Veterans Aid
line.
account.
This one right
And is
here is the last one, the Veterans Aid.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is to leave that the same. 75% of whatever we spend comes back to the town. But with Lisa, she's been here since Easter, and I can tell you she is just on fire. She's got passion, she's excited, she cares, and we're increasing our numbers because of her and her outreach. And she's able to, so our numbers will increase. So eventually we will be using that money again. I do foresee that coming.
So it's, even though we're looking at 198,000, really the town is only paying about 50,000.
Right.
And if you look, Chris, at the actuals have been a lot lower. But I think that's what Adam is getting to, is that we're expecting to see increase there but then we get 75% of that back.
Right, yeah, well,
from the
that's
state.
what I'm trying to
The
get at.
Whatever remaining,
So
my understanding is it goes to the general fund.
And we are, this is a question, I guess, for Andrew, we are getting that back.
Yes.
Because of whatever leases.
Oh, yes,
And
Lori,
it
Barry
isn't-
downstairs.
It isn't like we're supposed to get it back and we're not getting it back.
Right,
We
it's-
are getting it back.
It's
We have
part
a
of the
great
cherry
relationship.
sheet.
Yeah.
With accounting,
Okay.
and
Good.
Lori is fighting for every penny and wondering everything. Yes.
So
We're
this,
on it.
even though it's showing 198,000, really, it's only costing the town 50,000.
Right.
So, all right, good.
Maybe half of them were in the probably 100,000s. Is what it's kind of been, 93,000, 97, 95. Used to be a lot higher prior to getting here, but there was a lot that just didn't qualify and or needed to come off the program or died. I expect to see those numbers back up again. I mean, in the past 3 weeks, we've had 3 people that called for something else. And we spend 5 minutes on the phone with them and they realize they qualify for this program and they had no idea about it. That's why outreach is so important.
Mr. Chairman?
Dr. Tyler?
So through you to whomever feels compelled to act. One, thank you to the Veterans Agent for remarkable work, small staff, huge impact, huge value. I feel strongly to Mr. Murphy's point, for optics and presentation, it would be super nifty below the Veterans Aid expense line to show what the actual reimbursement was. Whilst it is the budget, there are allocated funds, I think it's grand because I feel that, yes, it's on the cherry sheet. Anybody who wants to go DLS can see it on the cherry sheet. But just for the optic here,
Yeah, seeing it here next to the number,
it's for the
That
removal
is
of all doubt
our
because it's great
expense
work
would be-
by town manager and the finance team
Yep.
to ensure that we get that cash back.
Yes.
It's superlative work by the Veterans Agent to ensure that we deliver the services and get as many of those who need services
yes.
more. So when we hear about the number growing, the more folks that you impact, the more you have to allocate. But the spend to the community is de minimis compared to the value that they're getting.
Yes.
And I think that is spelled out clearly when you look at that offset.
Agreed.
Said it better. Thank you.
I can add that.
Thanks, Eddie.
Great idea. Any other questions, Mr. Sal?
Anyone? Anyone with anything? Nope. Adam, thank you so much
Thank you very much for your time.
for the presentation and for all you're doing. All right, next up, golf.
Mine's gonna be much shorter. So, I'm sure most of you know me, it looks like I'll repeat, staff here,
Yep.
crew, and, Randy Vadabunker on the golf course. And, I'll start out with the mission, is just to provide good quality recreational experience to our community and try to keep it at a reasonable rate so people can come out after work, play some golf, get home, time for dinner, quick 9. It's been going pretty well so far. Achievements this year, we were able to wrap up the capital plan that had been open for several years and getting the big thanks to Scott for helping me with that, get through the maintenance building, and Jason, thank you for getting through that building addition to keep our new equipment that we've been purchasing out of the weather. So it's been a huge help. We did some renovations out on the golf course this year, repaired a couple tee boxes that had no grass left on them, and reconstructed a couple bunkers that had been there since the course was built, and they were in dire need. They were almost unplayable, so we did that this year also. And we maintained play while we did those projects also, so it was good. We
Nice.
didn't impact play very much at all. Our goals for next year, just keep providing good quality turf for the customers to play out on. Management and operating of our budget and payroll, and just continue to work on the golf course. I got a couple more tee boxes in mind, and a few more bunkers that are next on the list of things to do.
Overall, how is the condition of the course?
Very good. The well going in was a huge help last year, which was our first year actually being able to water the fairways, and they've really responded well to it. So now we have grass all summer in the fairways, which the patrons really enjoy that.
Yep.
Not hitting off of dirt or hard pan all summer.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been good. Only problem is I didn't account for the electric bill for running the pumps all those times, so that snuck up on me a little bit. But other than that, it's been very good.
What year is this that the town has taken over?
2019 January they took over,
Fifth,
so 5th full year.
going on 6.
Yes. So my highlights, I guess, is my increases and the raises. We'll get to that later, but the increases were basically the electric bill, and of course more people pay by credit card now, so those fees have gone up on us.
Yep.
And now I have to maintain the fairways that I used to not have to do anything to because they were burned. So that cost has gone up a little bit, but it's going to improve the course substantially with minimal increases.
Considering we went essentially 4 months without rain. It's
Correct,
Pretty,
yeah. And
pretty
they-
impressive that you
Yeah, the fairways
kept them going.
were really good all summer this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you folks golf, but
Yeah.
they held on very well this year.
All intents for that.
Much better than usual. Our
Although I did like having the bunker on the 4th hole on the fire.
oh,
because
closed
every
for
time
you could drop off to
you
the
could drop
side.
off, but that, I guess it's good to fix it.
Yes, yeah. It looks a lot nicer now aesthetically, yes.
Yeah.
And it's actually playable if you go in it. You can hit a golf shot from it now. So yeah, our revenue from last year was down a little bit from the year before, but it's weather related. We had a lot of rain earlier in the spring, which went into the middle of June, and then it smoothed out and we caught up. But we're right in line with most of our years. We didn't have any increase in our rates this past year, so we'll be looking at that shortly for spring, probably at our next board meeting. The salaries, I missed that page. But the salaries were pretty much just 2% across the board for everyone, just standard. And then the budget, the only 3 of the larger line items were I was about 80% through my line items for those 3 line items for the year so far to date, and I still have the second half of the year, spring, which, so I figured I would do it now while I'm presenting my budget instead of waiting till after and be in a bad position.
Sorry, what was that one?
Just the 3 line items that I spoke about in the highlights, those are the only 3.
Okay, the electric.
small one for the
Credit card fees.
credit card processing fee.
Groundskeeping.
And we're,
Yep.
yes, and we're close to having online bookings. Now we're trying to get it coordinated with the, with our website through the town, so people can just go online instead of calling us. We do have the digital T-sheet now, so it's not handwritten, which is a lot nicer, but we're trying to get the website and the POS system synced so people can book online, which will be much more convenient. But we're still fairly full, even though people are calling in.
Yeah.
Do
Go ahead.
you have, on the website, do you have pictures of the improvements that you've done, like the building addition and that type of stuff?
We have a lot of pictures on the Facebook, but we haven't gotten them to the website yet.
But you do have
we-
it out there on, like on
Correct,
social media?
yes. And the Abington Appreciation Day, we do a free day of golf. I think it was October 10th or 11th. The day before Columbus Day, we did that for 9 holes. Anyone in town, we give out T-shirts and coffee and donuts for the residents, and they really enjoy it. These guys come in to host for me, Steve and Chris Nagel. Coffee and donuts. Yeah. They take home the extras.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just, if I may, through you to town manager and the town accountant, refresh my feeble mind. Is there a golf enterprise account?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
What is
there
the current balance of the golf enterprise account?
We're working on that. We're still closing fiscal 24. So
Ballpark?
Do you have FY 23, 22? Those are already closed. What I'm driving at, honestly, this is not a gotcha. It's a great effort and demonstration of the town insourcing the service, taking away private management fees, and putting the gloss back in the emerald that is a piece of Abington.
Yep.
And I think that should be celebrated much the same when you look at expenses of 445, 654 against 677 of revenue. That's a grand margin that goes into the enterprise that supports all the capital improvements that I'm certain are going into and that will be planned, which will be discussed at a different meeting. So I was just trying to look at what the balance is.
I don't have the exact numbers on me, but the golf enterprise has been generating free retained earnings every year, so it's healthy.
Last time we checked it, it was 460,000 in there.
And to Sean's point, every year since the town has taken over the golf course, it has been in the positive.
Correct, yes.
You guys have done
We
it.
haven't run it.
Been very fiscally responsible while also improving the course. And
We try.
It was definitely a smart move.
We try to save wherever we can.
Yep. Does anyone have other questions? Any particular line items anyone had questions on? So the lines where we are likely to go over,
Mhm.
will those be year-end transfers? How will we?
For
I have,
enterprise?
I have other,
Yeah. Will they just come out of the?
I have other line items that I'm not quite using as much.
Okay.
It should,
Yeah,
they should balance
balance
out
out.
itself at the
Okay.
end, so I've been trying to adjust
Trying to-
my
trying to
spending
wiggle.
It's like a game
accordingly
of-
Yeah,
to remain fiscally responsible.
yeah. I just want to make sure that you guys
Yeah.
have the money you need
we'll
to
be okay.
keep the maintenance up, essentially, and the electricity on and
Yes,
stuff like that.
I appreciate that.
So, because it's an enterprise, we can't do transfers because there's nothing to
Right.
transfer to. What would happen is that the golf enterprise would have to make it up with a deduction in retained earnings for the next year.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're handling it correctly. So
Excellent. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Thanks for coming. All right.
Monday, yeah. I actually swung by today, it was actually that. I didn't want it. Absolutely.
Last and certainly not least for the night, we have our inspectional services office.
Good evening.
Jason, how are
I
you?
am Jason Harris. I am your building commissioner, zoning enforcement officer, and floodplains manager. I would like to tell you a little bit about who we are, what we've done, and what we continue to do. And I'd like to start with our mission statement. Our mission statement for the department is, the primary mission of the Abington Building Department is to administer and implement the state's building codes and local zoning bylaws. Building codes are life safety issues, and zoning bylaws are quality of life matters. The proper supervision and enforcement are essential to help increase the safety and quality of life of Abington residents and business owners. This also translates to increased property values, contributes to a smart growth for the community. This department also oversees the state and federal regulations. These statutes include state mechanical, plumbing, gas, electrical, handicap accessibility, and energy codes, along with federal floodplain criteria. This department interacts daily with numerous town departments during concurrent application review. Our staff perform daily inspections to ensure benchmarks are achieved for construction projects, along with executing annual life safety inspections. This department additionally provides oversight for the Board of Appeals and the Department of Weights and Measures. The Town of Abington Building Department is under new direction from myself, Jason Harris. I began on February 1st, 2023, with an initial goal to increase the level of service, customer service, to ensure the town's compliance with all the previous mentioned regulations. Some of the recent adjustments made to this department were the implementation and continuation of an online permitting system, introduction of a wide format plotter scanner for the town hall, scanning and paper documents into digital format for public view, and bringing fees up to current market levels. Since February 2023, this department has taken steps to become finally staffed, filling all positions with qualified individuals who share the same passion and commitment to safety and welfare of this community. This department is grateful for the dedication and service provided by the inspectors and staff for helping forge ahead the numerous construction projects and all our emergencies seen through the community. Some of the achievements this department has done this year is the department's operating functions have returned to 100% capacity, filling all positions, including securing alternate coverage for all individual inspectors for this department's required duties and responsibilities, and emergency response coverage to assist the police and fire departments. This department has accomplished implementation of online permitting, including the amendments made to assure efficiency, adaptability, and user convenience. Some of the recent upgrades made to online permitting system have streamlined inspection scheduling, allowing for an additional 20% more inspections per week, and reducing processing time by 50%. This department continues to promote and conduct the created public outreach program to assist property owners with additional care and commitment procedures, such as on-site scheduled visits to assist property owners who have accessibility limitations with additional online permitting assistance. On-site scheduled site visits to assist property owners, contractors, developers with an in-depth explanations and education on proper construction control and construction safeguards prior to the start of any project. This department calls the process toolbox talk and adds another safety measure towards keeping this community safe during all active projects. This department has created and implemented a community patrolling mapping system that has efficiently increased both building and zoning enforcement efforts by over 200%. This department has created a public-facing dashboard that allows applicants to track the status of their permit in real time, while allowing for reduced permit approval and wait times by 50% by optimizing workflows. Our goals. This department is currently finalizing the details to implement a full social media presence to offer this community the most available and convenient means of education, public awareness, alerts, and consistent updates that this department feel would be beneficial to the public. We also look forward to the continuation of top-tier level of service and dedication that has been established in the department. All right. Any questions so far?
I just want to comment on, for many years, the complaint was the
process of permitting here was extremely cumbersome and very slow. And so I love hearing that. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that's great. A lot of hard
Great
work went
job.
into it.
Great job.
Great staff. Without your legs, you're nothing, so it's a team effort for sure. Some of our highlights, inspection service highlights, open gov data consolidation. We saved about $10,000 from migrating our DocuWare system into our primary open gov system, the technology where we do our permitting services. And now it's kind of a one-stop shopping. Keep all our data and all our permitting in one place so that's easily accessible. We were able to save about $10,000 in our expense budget by doing that. It was a pretty substantial lift to do that, but again, team effort, and we worked through it. We assumed the floodplain management responsibilities as well as all conservation enforcement into the department. So we will be looking shortly at a line item for a small increase for the salaries, but we've taken 2 additional roles into the department to keep them going as efficient as possible.
How does that work? The conservation responsibilities?
So the initial conservation enforcement, communities are required to have a floodplains management or administrator in the department, which is myself. Secondly, you need Scott might be able to explain a little farther in depth, but the enforcement portion of conservation can't be done by me because it would be a bit of a conflict, kind of like judge and jury. I can't do that. But my local inspector is capable and he's certified to do that. His name's Nick Jenks. He's a local inspector. He's been here for about 7 months now, and he's been prepped with the conservation to take over the duties. But because he obviously is in our office, that now the responsibilities and duties will be inside of the department. All right, it's isolated and separate from building, and the responsibilities and duties rely on him to do that. But they are now in our office.
So like if someone's being fined, it comes from him?
From him, not the building department.
Right, okay.
So it's completely separate.
Gotcha.
The lines aren't crossed and the duties don't mix at all. But, we speak about streamlining. That's, again, another way to streamline it. You have immediate interaction for application submittals. You have answers for applicants, or you're able to answer the questions right away. You're able to submit your applications. You're able to respond to enforcement right away instead of trying to find a volunteer to go out there and do that.
Is that how were we previously handling fines through conservation?
So conservation largely is being done by the actual committee. So it's being done by volunteers who are meeting at night and trying to respond when they can. We didn't have a lot of fines out there, but typically if somebody was in violation, one of the committee members would reach out to them, or we would ask Jason or somebody else to go out there, which wasn't optimal. Typically, if somebody was in a violation, somebody went out there, whether someone in the committee, they would realize that there's a problem, they would take care of it. More often than not, it would go well beyond fines and end up with something that town council would be taking care of. This gives us somebody with professional experience and professional credentials to actually be able to respond to these things. That department, before they can issue a permit, a building permit or otherwise, they're required to ensure that wetlands and conservation issues are all taken care of before they issue the permit. So it's just a natural place for it to go.
That's part of my question. And when you say assumed, so it was assumed from the Conservation Committee, the responsibilities?
No, so the response, just nobody was doing it,
Nobody
first
was,
of all.
okay, got it.
It was left up to the committee. The administrative part of it was actually a function that was being done in my office.
Okay.
by one of my admins. And that particular admin's hours have been reduced, totally voluntarily. So those hours will actually come out of my, or the town manager or town board of selectmen budget,
And
and will be transferred over to that. There was already Nick Jenks, who's going to be doing it, the local inspector. He's already up to a certain amount of hours, so this was going to give him additional hours to be able to handle the additional responsibilities. It, it's kind of, I mean, it's sort of one of those things that you could probably go weeks without it being a problem.
Right.
But when it's a problem, it's usually, like I said, it typically can go one or two ways. Either somebody goes out there, explains to them, which these guys are great at getting out there and saying, hey, this is what the rules are. It's not that, we have a problem, but you gotta follow these.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, people just don't know. And Conservation Commission themselves are actually working with our consultant, our webpage and social media consultant, to try and get more of that information out on, like, this is the things you do have to worry about if you're a homeowner. So I anticipate problems won't escalate now. I think it'd be a little
More
more
oversight, right?
Right.
Is there any additional like training that you guys will have to go through?
Correct. So Nick has actually already completed his additional training prior to taking the responsibilities on. And this is fresh. This is recent. The last couple of days he's officially taken on the duties. But, we speak about streamlining. We speak about response time. We speak about the department being held up because we need the approvals from conservation. It's nothing against the, conservation, but it's just that we have a duty under the building code to issue within a certain amount of time. And so that creates a secondary set of problems for us that, we have 30 days to issue or deny based on X, Y, and Z. And if we don't do that, then we have to answer to that.
And like Scott said, the committee is great. It's just that they're
Correct.
volunteers and they're meeting
They just don't
at night
have
like
the
we
staff
do.
and-
And,
It's
they're,
a lot to put on.
go to their regular jobs,
Right.
during the,
So does it pull them out of the loop if somebody, let's say if I was.
Not at all.
No?
So for instance, as Scott was saying, I'd be contacted before and they'd say, can you please help assist us? But, my jurisdiction would allow me to go there and say, excuse me, sir, I think you may want to contact the Conservation Commission. I think you may be in violation of something. And that would be it. Now Nick has the authority and jurisdiction to actually serve enforcement and physically communicate directly with the board and follow orders to maybe shut the job down or issue orders or whatever that might be. It's an added stress on the department, but we're willing to absorb that to help, be part of the team and try to build that up. Just like the building department, we're lacking in a lot of areas that I was able to identify and get on right away. This is just another one.
Yep.
All right, Sean.
Again, through you, Mr. Chairman. One, thank you, Mr. Harris. I think it's a very thorough review. My questions are less to you and more to town manager and town accountant, but I'm going to direct them to Matt and look at you. Just to be clear. So, just brass tacks point.
I have missed you, Sean.
Just a brass tacks point. The all-in cost of the department that we're talking about right now, including all the sub-budgets, is in around $425,000-ish. That expense coming out of the taxpayer's wallet is offset by the fees, which is so presented here. And it's about a 17% retained earnings margin. So 3 questions that coincide with that. One, I'm not a DOR DLS expert, but it seems a little high for the services being provided, right? The notion here is to offset the cost of the services ventured and provided.
This is not an enterprise. This is part of the general fund. So
Yeah, no, I respect that, but we're still charging fees. The fees seem to outpace the expenses.
It also doesn't take into consideration other costs that don't show up.
But you're going to answer that question next. That's my point. Thank you. I think the optic isn't as clear as it needs to be.
I can answer it one year. I'll get it next
Bear
year.
with me. I think it's remarkably evident having a full-time a full-time department has generated growth in the community leaps and bounds. And I feel strongly that it's appropriately priced, that it delivers an appropriate level of service, that it focuses on both new growth and the health and safety of the community. I believe that fully. I also believe that the paper doesn't show me as much of that as I personally would like to see, and I'm just one person out of 18,000. But I know that I look at this and I'm like, oh, I got 17%, and I know, Scott, that definitively there are other pieces of overhead that aren't contemplated here, and there is one, we're not, because I noticed that we brought the fees up to market. Great. 17% suggests that it's above market, but it's not, because there are townside expenses or exposures or other things that support the department that aren't immediately contemplated. So it would be nifty just to see that, whatever that happens to be.
More of a breakdown.
Because I think strongly the packet in the format that you've asked the department heads to put forward is amazing. I love that. It's great. I think it's clear to follow. Andrew, I think you're doing a great job making things remarkably visible. And I think the department head, especially what you just delivered, is great. It's clear. The only thing that jumps out, I got to be that stick in the mud and say, hey, this is what stands out, and this is why it stands out to me. Maybe it stands out for others. If not, I'll go back and do this.
That's easy. I think we could put a side note in there on most of the departments to show what, associated expenses are. Certainly,
Percentages of
it's a
things
percentage
like
of
electricity
salaries is a
and
big amount.
benefits, things like that.
And Mr. Chairman, just the last point, I just want to emphasize, if I haven't been clear, this is not criticism or critique by any stretch. I'm impressed by the level of professionalism at this early stage of the budgeting process, and the sheets that the department heads are going through. It shows when you hear the reports, it shows the passion, it shows the commitment, and it's not fluff, right? It does show the value to the taxpayer, what they're getting out of their tax dollars. So I think that is a great way to move forward. My questions are designed not for derision, but to enhance that benefit.
I can say personally that has been clear. Hope it's clear to those watching as well.
All right, yeah,
Please
so
continue.
as we have all just heard, we are a self-funded, self-funded budget department, but there are missing items that are not seen, which I think are now pretty much straightened out. There's cost for real estate, lights, heat, you name it.
Yep.
The small increases that you will see in the budget are primarily salary. Our salary is about 95% of our budget, expenses about 5%. We did have a significant drop in expenses because, as I said before, we were able to negotiate DocuWare into OpenGov, and we did up some some hours on local inspector Nick Jenk. Between that and the minimum contractual obligations for salary increases for the 2% there were added in, and that is about it for the budget.
It's hard to see in the numbers just because I know that we increased the fees across the board. I remember last year we sensed a decrease in the amount of permits in general. Have you seen that this year?
And that's funny. Sometimes you can look at the number, but sometimes the projects are much larger and take a lot more work to do than the amount of numbers that you look at.
Sure.
One job we have now is 200 units. It's a $45 million plus project. That's going to take months to work on versus I could do 200 roofing and siding permits. So sometimes it's not just the number, it's the dollar value that's there, and we're consistently on track, both with value on permits and with enforcement. So we've stretched the department as thin as we can to keep the same level of service that you've seen lately, and you've probably heard about out in the street. Contractors are happy, homeowners are ecstatic. There's massive outreach from the department. We're running slim.
Don't tell anybody, but you guys are my favorite department.
Oh, thank you very much.
Marion's awesome.
Yeah.
She's my favorite.
It takes a village, and we, I had said this last year, and I know Scott probably won't agree, but my staff loves to show up in the morning. It's commitment, it's joy to come in there and work together. We're like a family in there. We're gonna fight, we're gonna get along, but we're gonna get the job done. And I think we're moving in a positive direction, and I think that the community is a lot safer. We are the third leg of public safety. Sometimes that gets overlooked or undervalued, but I think that we're doing an amazing job, and I couldn't have done it without them, and we couldn't continue to do it without them. So I think we're off to a great start here.
And that social media idea is going to be great too.
Yeah, I would have loved the theatrics of starting someplace there, but unfortunately, between the requirements of the state and getting the community safe is our top priority first. And then once we get everything stabilized, then we can continue with a greater outreach, greater social media presence, start bringing, the outside community into the department, letting them know what we do. I mean, we have plans of doing maybe on-site inspections to show the community and the public what we do and what we look for, things like that. Teaching the seniors how to vet contractors properly, things like that. I mean, there's so many ideas. There's a lot of brain in the office, and we work seamlessly. But we have a lot of good plans. But again, the most important thing is get the place safe first, and then continue
I
from
can
there.
say from a lot of people's experience, not just seniors need that.
I'm sorry?
Not just seniors need that, to know how to
Exactly.
vet contractors properly.
But with the presence on there, you'll be able to actually go on there. We're trying to make it as easy as possible, user-friendly for the online permitting system. We've worked with other departments to try to teach them how to use it. It's a great source of education and a tool for things or information they might be looking for. There's a million different things you can do. You can be very inventive and you can continue on. But again, we have our primary responsibilities is to get it safe, get the community under control, and then move on from there.
The salaries are up 9%, but I think you
8.8.
said that's because of increased hours, because of increased.
It's the minimum contractual obligations, union contract,
Okay.
2%.
Yeah.
And then the increased hours from 19.5 to up to 30 hours for Nick Jenks, which is the local inspector.
Okay.
Nick will be doing local inspector duties as well as taking on all of the conservation enforcement with a short amount of hours. So it's a big ask with a small amount of time. But that's
So
kind of
he
the
is
narrative in
now-
the office.
He is now going on pension and all that other stuff as
Correct.
well. And that isn't shown here.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Great job.
All right.
Other
you.
questions?
Any questions for me?
All right.
I'd have to apologize. I'm feeling a little under the weather today, so I'm probably trying
You
to
wouldn't know
You've
it.
done-
go
yeah.
fast, but
You've done great.
Um,
Definitely.
I'd love to
very
answer any
much.
questions you might have.
Glad to hear that there's such an increase in the services,
Yeah,
you
and the efficiency.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, And as we see something, I got to give the best thanks to the town manager because he's allowed us to do what we need to do to succeed. And without that, you can't, And I see a lot of breakdowns on a lot of other communities. We get called all the time. They ask us, how are you guys able to do what you're able to do with such short staff or, with what you have? And the answer is, we're allowed to do it, right? We're allowed to do it. We're professionals. We're paid to do that, and there's a lot of trust here. But without that, we wouldn't be where we are today. So town manager deserves a lot of thanks for that.
No, but it does remind me of my olden days,
Well,
20-something years ago,
well, he does
coming in
now,
here as
so.
a contractor and finding more often than not,
That
you couldn't find a
there was
building
nobody,
inspector.
there was no one there.
There was nobody in the office. And then when you did manage to get one, they weren't helpful whatsoever.
Yeah,
which
and that
is
was
actually
even
what
10
got
years
me
ago.
into wanting to become a building inspector all those years ago. And so, but yeah, these guys do great work down there.
Well, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. because you can't get anything over on him. He knows what he's doing, you know? He knows
He's got
he
that
knows what I'm
history.
doing before I even do it,
Yeah.
right? Which is good too, because he knows, you know, if I'm attacking things the right way or if I'm doing things the right way. And it's great to have somebody to speak to, you know, that absolutely understands, not only for town management, but, you know, he's professional, you know, he's a commissioner, so.
Yep.
I'm very blessed to have that. You're not gonna find that dynamic anywhere, I don't think.
Yeah.
So we're very blessed community to have that.
Nice.
Awesome.
Anyone have anything else for
I'm
Jason? Jason,
All
thank
right,
you so
guys.
much for your time.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
I really
much.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Sorry if I was rushing a little bit, but.
No, you did great.
You did.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
All right. That is the end of departments for tonight. Looking at the agenda, next item was, I believe, correspondence. I remembered to check tonight,
Nice.
and there's nothing. Shocking, I know. Did anyone have any liaison reports?
I guess I do. I met with the Council on Aging, and we'll hear from them later. Everything's going pretty well. There's a few things they'd like to ask for, but they know their situation. But you know, nothing earth-shattering there.
Well, that's good too.
Thank you, Chris. Any other liaison reports? We did have 2 sets of minutes to go over. The first set was from October 9th, which we had made some adjustments to. We had talked about at a previous meeting, made some adjustments to, and Kelly went back and fixed them up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, there's one more adjustment that needs to be made to both sets of minutes. And it's that Andrew Leveralt, who is no longer on the committee, is listed as absent for both meetings. He was in fact absent,
But because
but he was
he wasn't
absent
supposed
because
to be
he's
here.
not on the committee anymore. So at least for the October 9th one, is there a motion to
Motion to
approve the
approve the
minutes
meeting
as with the amendment
With the
that
amendment
Andrew
of
was
Andrew
not,
Leveralt, yes.
was not in fact.
So moved.
He had an excused absence.
Yes. There's a motion by Barbara. Is there a second?
Second, if I
Second
was
from
there.
Chris. Is there any further discussion on the October 9th meeting minutes? All of us were there, so everybody can speak their piece and vote. Without any further comments, all those in favor of approving the amended minutes for October 9th?
Aye.
All those opposed? It is unanimous. The minutes are approved. The next set of minutes is the October 23rd meeting. Dan, you were not there. Andrew also was not there. So we need to amend that again. Everything else that I read over on these looked correct. Is anyone?
Motion
Saw
to,
nothing wrong.
motion to approve with the change to Andrew's.
Motion to
Status.
approve with a
Second.
one small amendment from Barbara, second from Chris. Any further discussion on the October 23rd minutes? Without any, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Those opposed, abstaining? They are approved. And that is the end of our meeting minutes for tonight. And the next item on the agenda is scheduling our next meeting. Andrew has our schedule up there, so next week we are confirmed for the planning department and fire.
I will not be here.
If you want us put in on one of those nights, whether it's the fire night or not, an update on the project.
That would be a good thing to have.
Maybe I'll ask Sean Riley to the schedule. I don't think it would take too much time, but I think it's probably a good idea. And we do have confirmation, I believe the 18th, I don't know if he's up there, but South Shore Voc Tech will be here to talk about that project, or maybe it was January. So it's just before the ballot vote for the South Shore Voc Tech project. So I'll send you, I think it was the 15th of January, maybe that Wednesday before the
When is the ballot vote for that?
25th of January. It's a Saturday. So yeah, I think they're planning, so he's planning on coming to the selectmen meeting on the 13th and this meeting on the 15th. Those were the only dates we could really get him prior to the ballot. We will be doing some social media outreach. We'll have a web page dedicated to that ballot, just to give people an update on, let them know what they're voting for and what the implications are if it should pass. And if we need a discussion on it prior to that, I'm sure we might not be able to get Tom here, but I'm sure we can get, I can get enough information to give you guys some sort of an update on, like I said,
Or
the,
maybe even the Abington rep.
yeah, well, I think they're like a road show right now.
Oh, the road show.
If I remember
That's-
from the email traffic, the 11th might be tough for people. As far as being able to attend.
What was the reason?
When you were seeing who could come tonight, I know the 11th came up with a few folks. And
Yeah, I'm one of them.
I'll have to get a sense for each of the next 2 weeks, because there were a lot of December concerns.
Okay.
I do know the 18th, I don't think I'll be able to. There's my daughter's in a concert, so.
You should probably go to that.
Yeah. So I'll have to get back to you on each of the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So,
Are we starting this later than we usually?
no, we're starting it earlier
Is it?
than we've been.
We had been for several years pushing town meeting off to like May and
Yeah, and we started this in January, like late January, beginning of
Right.
February, when we were doing town meeting at the end of May.
Mm. That's right.
Because town meeting is now beginning of April, as it's chartered
Supposed to be.
chartered to
supposed to
be. We're starting earlier because of that. So.
Okay.
But as Sean pointed out, I think we're off to a very good start with this.
Yes.
Update from the town manager. Where are we at overall? I forgot the update
yeah,
from the town manager portion.
I mean,
of our-
we don't want to, it's, the numbers, everything's just kind of high numbers right now,
Wonky
so.
numbers
Yeah, I
early in
mean,
the
we're
process.
holding a high percentage on what we've put in for the schools. We have no idea where they're gonna be in. We do know, I think they're in the contract year, like we are with a lot of our unions, with police and fire and DPW and the managers union, so we've got a lot of things to think about there. We also are holding a high number on, hopefully it's gonna be a high number, but we're holding, I think, 10 or 11% on health insurance, and probably 10, 11% on the liability line right now. Those are numbers we won't have till January, so the deficit right now with a perfect world, with everybody throwing in numbers of what they would like, is somewhere in the 4 million plus range. So, if we had to balance the budget tomorrow, there'd be a lot of unhappy people. But,
But
again,
thankfully, we don't have to balance the budget tomorrow.
yeah, and we have no idea where state numbers are gonna be, but we're assuming they're probably, if we're lucky, they'll be flat. I think the words that I've been getting is that they continually lower their expectations and their projections, and then they still don't hit them as far as collection. So hopefully it's a huge Christmas year, and but we don't know. You know, it's amazing the amount of stuff that we've been able to get done in town because of grants, though. This project, I think, I don't know if you guys remember last year, we were either freezing or sweating in here,
Yeah.
depending
I
on
just
when we were
said- I
meeting.
was just
Because
saying.
those
We were saying that at the
20-something-year-old
start of the
HVAC units outside, it all just gone. So we were actually lucky enough, we were able to use the Recovery Plan Act money to pay for that. So there's a, I don't know, $400,000 project that we were able to get done. Same thing over at the senior center. We were able to leverage some of that over there too. But yeah, we are still in discussions on what we want to do with the trash and how we want to deal with that.
Where are we at with the contract? With the trash contract?
There's another year on the contract. That's not what's driving.
No, I just was,
That's not, we're hoping. But as far as the plan on that goes, there is a small committee internally that's been working on it, and we're actually going to schedule, we had a larger committee that was made up of the chairs of all the other bigger committees, Matt and the Board of Selectmen, Board of Health Chairman, and the school committee chairman, along with Andrew, myself, treasurer, and a few others, working with the state. Someone from DEP is actually helping us to kind of formulate a couple plans that then we will bring to this committee, and we'll have to make a decision on what we want to do. If it's, we'll have one of three options, one of them being do nothing, leave it alone, and that'll have its implications that we'll figure out. But that is moving along. I expect to be a night with this committee somewhere in January.
trash talking.
Trash talking. Can't wait. So yeah, there's quite a bit, and there's not a lot of good news coming down these days. Keep plugging away.
Great. Anyone have anything else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about it tonight, but I just want to bring it up maybe for a future meeting. Have we thought about or talked about the possibility of federal funding being greatly decreased to the state of Massachusetts, and thus greatly decreased to the towns? It's based on.
We think about losing money every day.
But I think with the sanctuary status thing and all that stuff, I do think there's going to be some pressure applied.
So in fiscal '23, we received about $3 million of federal funding. So that's a pretty
Through
significant,
grants and all
Yeah.
that, okay.
So that's a pretty significant amount.
Well, but is Chapter 70, is that federal or that, it's from the state, but how could that be affected by?
Yeah,
Because I think with
They
when I
closed
looked
down
at it,
the
it was 20
education department and give it all to the states.
Yeah, it was like 21% of, or not revenue, 21% of Massachusetts dollars, for lack of a better term, came from federal funding in 2023.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that funnels down, like Andrew said. I mean,
Okay.
maybe there's probably some that does go to the school, and there's some other things that come up. But I think a lot of it does go to the state, goes to your highway systems, it goes to transportation.
Okay,
Things like that.
so we wouldn't think that it would affect Chapter 70. That was what I was thinking
I think that it probably depends, because it depends on what other things it affects with the state, and then that's when the state's gonna say, we only have X amount to allocate for
For
chapter
local
70
aid or-
for local aid. We do expect, like I said, at best, local aid may be flat. I hope, but even if we got an increase, it'd be 2%, so that's not a huge amount of money on local aid. So we'll see. I'm not expecting any help to come out from the state. I think it is good that we did pass our MBTA communities here, unlike, some cities and towns that haven't. It was simple, I think it was kind of easy for us, only because of where we put it and the fact that what's allowable there was already allowable.
Yeah.
So I think that puts us in a better
And,
position.
and having Milton's example to look at.
Yeah.
Made it an
Yeah,
easy
yeah, it was
decision
kinda-
for people. Like the alternatives were worse than passing it.
But yeah, there's a whole host of things. We don't know what'll happen with the new administration.
But you're not more worried about it?
No, it's not my biggest concern
Okay.
at all. No. I say that today.
Right.
You're more concerned about trash.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's a good question, though.
Yeah, it really is anybody's guess what'll happen after the first of the year.
It's just such a big, I was really worried about the chapter 70 stuff because school is just such a big part of the budget. Any movement there hurts.
So,
Any other questions, topics, comments, motions?
Motion to adjourn.
So motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? Without any, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Yeah.